Just for clarification, this will mostly only have to do with past events. This is not made to rant on anyone in any way. This is just my honest opinion, which was asked of me. So, yeah, here it is. So, before I get on to my honest opinion, I'm basically just gonna point out basically what the inspiration in the gotcha community is like already. So, we're gonna use basically a prime example of that to help you understand better if you don't already know. So, say this fence would represent as copying. Now, let's say the paint job for this would be the title inspiration. So basically, in the gotcha community, the majority of quote unquote inspiration is basically just a fancy word for copying here. As much as I can't really remember most of the time when I actually gave the inspiration rights to my series or my content in general, I just told myself that it would be okay and that just couldn't possibly ever happen to me. Oh god. Here's a key topic that we're gonna mention later in the video, but please remember that I have my own crew or my in real life friends who actually work on me with projects. I just need to point this out now because I'm gonna bring up this topic later. I myself was personally fine with all inspiration beforehand, but then it started getting to the point where it was copying in a way. Not totally, if you get, don't get me wrong, but it definitely felt like it towards me and my crew. This slight instance included copied dialogue, almost word for word, character designs, and sometimes even the entire storyline of my series or other projects I've worked on. So, for the storyline thing, or why the crew / my in real life friends and I are kind of mad, is because we really, and I mean extremely, worked hard on our plots. Recently, about nearly a year now, Heidi, Nancy, and Asuke have moved to a different country with obviously a different time scale than ours. Since none of us really had Discord or basically any real social or any apps to where we could really communicate with each other online, we had to use FaceTime, which, since it bugs out a lot, takes a long time to do. Especially since not only that, we have to find a good time zone or time scale to actually start scripting. And scripting a good plot, as most of you may know, takes a long time to do. Not only that, but I don't wing it on dialogue for the most part. We script dialogue too sometimes, and how to find iconic dialogue, especially with us of all people, isn't exactly easy. So due to those, technical difficulties, it usually takes us a couple of weeks, sometimes even months, to create our scripts. For the most part, I wasn't entirely upset when people started copying the storyline, but of course, most of my crew members were because, well, I mean, this took us a very long time to make, and I mean extremely long. The LMA timeline itself, and soon to be the next generation timeline, is going to take a lot of time to script and rehearse and all of that. My honest opinion for that part, I'm okay with you guys doing that. Please do not copy the entire storyline. I've actually set the boundaries for getting inspired for these series now, so if you could look at that, that would be great. But yeah, if I have to be completely honest here, I'm not exactly innocent. I'm kind of upset about it too, but I didn't really want to tell you. Reason being is because if you watch my channel, you know I get inspired a lot on memes and different content. So to make this video alone actually makes me feel kind of hypocritical in a way, and I don't want to be. In fact, this actually makes me kind of feel a bit awkward since the majority of the people who were doing this at the time were my friends, and I don't really want to hurt them in any way, shape, or form. This is just my honest opinion, which, like I said at the beginning, was asked of me. So, now let's get into the part that actually bugs me. This is gonna be a bit awkward, since, like I said at the beginning, this isn't an actual rant in any way, but, yeah. So, taking out the crew, say, 80% of, our channel and our series is basically, scripting. The dialogue and the character designs are the other 10%, which, for the most part, I do. I mean, 50% of the dialogue is done by the crew, too, so, yeah. I'm just gonna get to the point, and I really hope I don't come off as rude when I say this, but I actually do work extremely hard on the designs of my characters. and I don't really like seeing them being copied if I didn't really give rights to them, you know? Oh god, my voice is so shaky right now. This isn't made to hurt my friends or anyone that it's actually, like, I'd say copied my designs. This is just for future notice, and I pointed this out in the new boundaries for inspiration rights too. So again, please go read that. And as for dialogue, I kind of feel like just copying dialogue or getting heavily inspired by it is kind of just rubbing it in that it's basically a staple copy, you know? If that makes sense. Not trying to be rude here. But yeah, we are pretty uncomfortable about it. I mean, some of the crew members are actually pretty upset about this, since, like I said, we work extremely hard on these. So, like I said, I made this simply because it was asked of me, on, like, my honest opinion of it. Don't worry, I wasn't forced or anything, but... Okay, if I'm being honest here, this actually has bugged me, like the crew members. Not as much, but it definitely has bugged me, and I should clarify that this is mostly my fault. Like, I can't remember exactly why I gave inspiration rights to my series or my content. Actually, I can't even remember when I did that, but I just didn't think it would get to the point where it would be heavily inspired to the point where the inspiration would look like heavily copied things. But if anyone actually was mad about this situation, about me giving boundaries to my inspiration rights and stuff like that, inspiration rights, oh my god. But, like, if you were mad about this, I knew for a fact that the crew would be to blame, because in those community posts, I've mentioned that I'm not actually mad, when really I am now admitting that I actually was kind of bugged about that. I was scared to talk about it because the majority of the people who got heavily inspired by me at the time were friends of mine, and I didn't want to call them out on that, especially after saying that you could get inspired, because that's kind of hypocritical if you think about it. But I didn't want my crew members to be the ones to blame in this situation, and it wouldn't be fair either, since I feel the same about this. Like, I'm not gonna show it, obviously, because, the text actually show some other personal things we talk about, obviously. But I remember Heidi texting me one day where she found, like, Leilani's channel, basically. And, let's just say she was, pretty pissed because she didn't know that, like, she was just getting inspired, and, like, Heidi thought that she was literally copying us. And I literally, explained to her that it was just a simple inspiration. And she did tell me that that's kind of way too heavily inspired. And yeah, I kind of agreed, but did I want to admit that? No, I didn't. Leilani, or Stranger Reindeer, is literally one of my best friends. But yeah, I really did kind of get a bit bugged about that. Now, just to be clear, this is not just Leilani, but it's a prime example, basically. So I basically just told Heidi afterwards that it's okay, she can get inspired and stuff like that, and I've already given inspiration rights to the series anyways, so it's kind of too late to, like, you know, call it quits and stuff. So, you know, Heidi just stopped for a while. I'm pretty sure she was still mad about that, though. Then, like, a couple of days later, Asuke and Ryan found the video, or the channel, I don't know. But yeah, they kind of had the same reaction as Heidi. I mean, Ryan did know that Leilani was just getting inspired by me. But like to Heidi the first time, they were actually pretty upset about it too, since, like I mentioned earlier, we worked months on the script for, like, seasons 2 through 4. I mean, at the time, it was only, like, the script's at 2 to 3, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, Asuke said that I should actually take this down, and obviously I said no to that because, like I just said, Leilani's my best friend. I never actually really got a response from Pastel even after she figured out about that channel. I don't really think she's upset, and I've tried reaching out to her about it beforehand. She hasn't really said anything, though. So basically, after I said no to Asuke for not taking down the video, or, like, any other videos at the time that were up that were heavily inspired, he went on and basically just kept saying, like, how this is literally just copying, this is literally just a copy of the episodes we made, you know, the episodes we worked on. And that's just reading from the text, just to be clear. But like to Heidi, I also explained to Asuke and Ryan how I already gave inspiration rights to the series, but then Ryan pointed out how just because you give inspiration rights doesn't mean that they can literally just copy you like this. And as much as I agree with that statement, I really did not want to just say, take this video down, or don't get heavily inspired by me and stuff like that, because, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Leilani at the time was still my friend, and, like, she was so sweet even before we became friends, and I really did not want to do that. And I could tell that she actually did work hard on editing and things like that. So, yeah, that's basically where that small controversy the crew and I had kind of ended for a while. That was up until when Leilani uploaded her Saints video. Yeah, for most of Leilani's episodes up until that point, Leilani was actually being extremely original with her series, so thankfully, most of the crew members, or the ones who were actually, like, getting upset about it, kind of laid off. And then, like, in the middle of the day or now, I can't remember, I got a text from Heidi saying, there's no way this isn't copying or something like that. I tried explaining to her again that it was inspiration, but this time Heidi actually kind of got upset about that. She literally texted something like, no, this is literally copying this time. Like, you can't deny it. And no, I don't really think it was copying, but that's definitely how most of the crew members saw it, even after Ryan and Asuke saw the video. I'm pretty sure Pastel saw that too. Like I said, she didn't really have a response on this. But, yeah, the crew members were pretty upset, and I really didn't, like I said, I really didn't want to talk about this. But by that time, as much as I'm kind of upset and ashamed to admit, I was kind of upset too. Like, yeah, it's pretty much my fault for giving inspiration rights in the first place. Like, knowing this community, I really shouldn't have just left every inspiration right in the book open. But, yeah, I kind of did start getting a bit upset since most of the character designs were copied, most of the dialogue was slightly copied, and for the premise, basically the story plot of the episodes started getting a bit too heavily inspired, if that makes sense. However, I really did not want to call Leilani out on this, so I went to community tabs instead. This might have been probably a couple of months later, after we finally came to an agreement on the inspiration rights to LMA and NG series, since we already put them out anyways, so we might as well just give slight restrictions for them. Like one of the greatest besties Leilani is, she did follow that and start being more original for series, and the crew laid off finally, and I stopped getting less upset about this. If you want to know why I keep pointing out how, I'm getting upset here, well, okay, I'm just gonna put it shortly here. The people who get heavily inspired by me, for the most part that I know of, are my best friends who care about me, and I care about them. I never wanted to make a video on this or make a community tab on them, simply because I don't want them to get hated on. Honestly, I don't know why I'm acting like this is such a huge controversy all of a sudden, since, well, it's literally rights that I'm allowed to make for my content and stuff. But I've been kind of paranoid for it for the last couple of months. I really, really did not want to make a video on this. In fact, I'm super hesitant, and my voice is kind of shaky now, simply because I'm making this video now. And since it's kind of at 14 or 15 minutes now. Part of the reason for me getting so paranoid about this is simply because, as most of you know, the season 3 finale of Leave Me Alone was sadly taken down due to copyrighted audios, which happen to be all of them, just now learning. So that's when it hit me. If someone got heavily inspired by the scenes in that finale, the people who are watching the heavily inspired video are going to think that that idea belonged to them. And even if they bother going to my channel to look, since it's not up anymore, they're just going to assume that it belongs to the other creator. Just looking at some of the past calls we've done to script for the LMA Season 3 finale, that was about maybe 30 34 to 35 days, which is definitely more than a month, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, we weren't exactly pleased about the season 3 finale. Even Pastel admitted to that time that she wasn't pleased about that, even though it was kind of my fault for adding copyrighted audios. But, yeah. So, well, yeah, that's my honest opinion on my heavily inspired inspiration videos. A lot of people are already aware of this now, and ever since have started being more original with their content. I want to say thank you to that, and if you are planning on getting inspired by me, I do have sets of boundaries for the Next Generation series and LMA series, which I'm going to put up at the end of the video. So, before I really put up the, boundaries for inspiration rights, I just want to take a second and apologize to Leilani or Stranger Reindeer, because I just realized that the majority of this was just me calling out on you, and like I said, you're my best friend. I really don't want to hurt you in any way. This is just how I feel about these things, and it's kind of important to me now, so I really just wanted to point this out, and it was great timing when you asked me to. By the way, shout out to Stranger Reindeer. I'll put her channel link in the pinned comment or description of the video. Anyways, here are the rules for inspiration now. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up now.